Think $1 million is enough to retire comfortably? Most people spend their entire lives chasing that 7-figure milestone, assuming it's the golden ticket to a stress-free life of golf courses and beach vacations. But here is the cold, hard reality. Less than 10% of Americans actually reach that number by the time they stop working. That is a staggering statistic when you consider how often we are told that 1 million is the bare minimum required for a modern retirement. Today we are breaking down the gatekeepers of wealth. We are looking at who actually hits the $1 million mark, the specific habits that get them there, and the devastatingly common mistakes that prevent 90% of the population from ever crossing the finish line. If you have ever wondered if your retirement savings are actually on track, or if you are just running on a treadmill that leads to a financial cliff, this is the breakdown you cannot afford to miss. For decades, the $1 million figure has been the ultimate benchmark for retirement. It is a psychological threshold that represents making it. But why this specific number? It largely stems from the 4% rule, a financial guideline suggesting that if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio in the first year of retirement and adjust for inflation thereafter, your money should last for 30 years. On a $1 million portfolio, that gives you $40,000 a year. When you add Social Security, it sounds like a decent life. However, the world has changed. Inflation has eroded the purchasing power of that million, and lifestyle expectations for the average person between 18 and 50 have skyrocketed. Most people assume they are on track simply because they contribute a small percentage to a 401k growth plan. But the truth is that the median retirement account balance is nowhere near the $1 million dream. There is a massive disconnect between what we think we need and what we are actually doing to get there. This gap exists because of a lack of financial literacy and a misunderstanding of how compounding really works. Let's look at the hard truth through the lens of the latest statistics. When we examine American households, the data is sobering. Only about 7 to 10% of retirees hold $1 million or more in dedicated retirement accounts. If we look at the median retirement savings by age bracket, the disparity becomes even clearer. For those in their early 30s, the median savings often hover around $20,000. By the time workers hit their late 40s and early 50s, that median might climb to $60,000 or $80,000. While that sounds like a fair amount of money, it is a far cry from $1 million. Even for those in the 60 to 65 age range, the median balance is often under $200,000. This means that for every person retiring with a massive nest egg, there are dozens of others who will be relying almost entirely on Social Security and part-time work. The $1 million club is largely populated by high-income professionals, long-term government employees with robust thrift savings plans, and disciplined investors who started in their early 20s. Education level and profession play a role, but the biggest differentiator isn't just your salary, it's the duration of your investment. So how do the successful few actually hit that $1 million mark? It isn't usually through a lucky lottery ticket or a once-in-a-lifetime stock tip. The path to a millionaire retirement is almost always boring, consistent, and disciplined. The common patterns among these retirees are clear. They treat investing as a non-negotiable monthly bill. They utilize strategic retirement accounts like the 401k and the Roth IRA to their maximum potential. Most importantly, they understand the power of the employer match. That is essentially free money that, when compounded over 30 years, can account for hundreds of thousands of dollars of the final balance. These individuals also tend to live significantly below their means. They aren't driving the newest cars every 3 years or upgrading their homes every time they get a raise. Instead, they funnel those pay increases directly into index funds that track the total market. One common strategy among this group is the set it and forget it mentality. By automating their investments, they remove the emotional temptation to pull money out when the market gets volatile. They understand that time in the market is always superior to timing the market. On the flip side, what is stopping the other 90%? The biggest mistakes are often subtle but cumulative. The most common error is late investing. If you start investing at 25, you might only need to save $500 a month to hit $1 million by age 65. If you wait until 45, that monthly requirement jumps to several $1,000s. Many people also fall into the trap of overspending to maintain a certain social image, often referred to as lifestyle creep. As their income grows, their expenses grow at an equal or faster rate, leaving no no room for wealth building. Another critical mistake is relying solely on Social Security. Social Security was designed to be a safety net, not a primary income source, yet a significant portion of the population has no other plan. Furthermore, many people ignore the impact of fees. A 1% management fee might not seem like much today, but over a 40-year career, it can strip away hundreds of thousands of dollars from your final retirement savings. These habits create a cycle of financial stagnation that is incredibly hard to break once you reach your 50s. We also need to address the $1 million myth versus the actual reality of today's economy. While $1 million is a fantastic achievement, we have to ask, is it actually enough? In high cost of living areas, $1 million might only generate enough income to cover basic rent and healthcare, leaving very little for anything else. Depending on your lifestyle and the rate of inflation, your magic number might actually be $2 or even $3 million. This is why a wealth building mindset is more important than the number itself. Successful retirees don't just focus on the balance. They focus on their withdrawal rate, their tax liabilities, and their healthcare costs. They understand that $1 million in a traditional 401k is not the same as $1 million in a Roth IRA, because Uncle Sam is going to take a significant cut of the former. The reality is that comfortable retirement is a moving target. It requires constant adjustment and a deep understanding of your own personal spending habits. If you are currently between 18 and 50, there are actionable steps you can take today to significantly improve your odds of joining that top 10%. The first and most important step is to start now, regardless of the amount. Even $50 a month, when invested in a low-fee index fund, starts the process of compounding. Second, you must automate your savings. If the money never hits your checking account, you won't miss it. Third, focus on 401k growth by at least contributing enough to get your full employer match. Failing to do this is literally leaving money on the table. Fourth, educate yourself on the fees associated with your investments. Switching to low-cost ETFs can save you a fortune over time. You don't need a six-figure salary to retire wealthy, but you do need a six-figure discipline. Use apps or simple spreadsheets to track your net worth and your savings rate. Seeing the progress visually can be a massive motivator to keep going when the urge to spend arises. The journey to $1 million retirement is as much about psychology as it is about math. It requires you to value your future self more than your current desires. It requires you to stay the course when the headlines are screaming about a market crash. It requires you to say no to the immediate gratification of a new purchase in favor of the long-term peace of mind that comes with financial independence. Most Americans won't reach this goal not because they aren't capable, but because they aren't intentional. They let life happen to them instead of planning their life. By understanding the statistics and avoiding the common pitfalls, you are already ahead of the curve. You have the tools and the time. The only question is whether you have the consistency to see it through to the end. Now, I want to hear from you. We've seen the data and we know the odds. Do you think you'll be among the 10% who retire with $1 million or more, or are you starting later in the game like most of the country? There is no shame in starting late, but there is a massive risk in not starting at all. Leave a comment below with your age and your primary savings goal for the next 5 years. Let's build a community where we can share strategies and keep each other accountable. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this. The road to wealth is long, but you don't have to walk it alone. Keep pushing, keep investing, and let's change those statistics together. See you in the next one.